Welcome to the Vibrant Visibility Podcast. Being visible as a soul-led business owner isn't just about the practical strategies, marketing tips, and tech systems. It's also about the internal systems, the safety of your nervous system, the somatic connection, and the embodiment of being a badass CEO that will support you in all of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And I'm here to share all of that with you on this show. I'm your host, Shawnee Arsenault, a registered nurse turned visibility coach and business mentor for heart-centered coaches and healers. I created a six-figure coaching practice in my first year of business and scaled to multiple six figures my second year, all in the middle of getting pregnant with my first baby and becoming a new mama. If I can do this entrepreneurship thing, I know you can too. If you're ready to learn how to be a CEO in a way that feels aligned with your heart, become a lighthouse for the people that you're meant to serve, feel free to authentically express yourself and be a magnet for success, and grow your coaching business in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling, I can't wait to be in your ear along for the ride. Hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of Vibrant Visibility. I've got a little bit of a different style for you guys today. I'm mainly going to be talking about kind of like strategy, some education, going through some case studies, not as much of like a touchy-feely subject. It's very business focused, very straightforward, but it's something I support a lot of my clients with. And it is something that does affect your visibility, especially if you want to grow and scale and really take off with your business and exponentially see results. So the topic that we're going to be talking about today is, of course, technology. At the time of this episode going live, I'm probably going to be in the middle of a live series where I talk about the systems that you want to have in place to create sustainable growth in your business. So if you haven't signed up for that live series yet, the day that this is going live, I think I'll be on day 2. So head on over to my free Facebook group or join in through the link that I'm going to put in the show notes so you can get all the emails and the worksheets that go with the live series. But systems, right? Technology. This is something that I see so many people struggling with at the beginning of their business. It is a little bit of a shock to have to be able to put all of it together and to make everything run operationally on our own, and at the same time create clients and at the same time serve our clients really powerfully, right? So technology can be this really overwhelming thing that causes a lot of resistance in a lot of coaches. So if you've ever felt that resistance, if you've ever felt yourself getting overwhelmed with technology by all the tools that are out there, this is going to be the perfect episode for you. What I want to explore here is just like how to understand and embrace technology just at different stages of your business and decide, when is the right time to DIY versus outsource. And then most importantly, how do we find the fun? How do we make this a fun part of being a business owner? Because this is a part of being a business owner that you really cannot avoid, honestly. So we'll talk about some different forms of resistance that I typically see in coaches with technology. We'll talk about different stages of business and like what tech platforms you want to be focusing on in that stage. And then we'll talk through some case studies and things like that too. So the first piece here on resistance to using technology in your business. I totally hear this. I totally get that technology can be super, super frustrating. But if you want to grow your practice, you're going to have to embrace it on some level, right? Tech is a tool. It's not a barrier. It's not something that's preventing you from growing or preventing you from having the business that you want. If you can find a way to embrace it as a tool, the rest of your business building journey is going to be so much easier. So I just want to talk about some of the common barriers, the common pieces of resistance that I see with coaches as they implement technology into their business. So the first one being, I'm not good at tech, right? How many of you have said that? I'm not tech savvy. I just don't know. Technology is something that, always makes me shut down. And I just want to encourage all of you here, even if you feel like you're not tech savvy, there is always some place where you can start and learn from. Right? Technology is not some mystical force that only some people are gifted with being adept at. It's learnable. Technology skills are learnable. And you just have to figure out how to learn it in the way that your brain works, in the way that you can understand it, and then start really, really small. Right. A lot of times, if you don't consider yourself tech savvy, people try to take on these really big projects or learn this big, intricate system. And that is not where you want to start. You want to start with something really small, something that you can easily create a bunch of little wins with. And then you'll start to reverse that story of you not being good at tech and start to create evidence that, like, oh, I can actually just learn. I can learn more and learn at my own pace, and I don't have to be good at everything right now. I don't have to know everything right now. Another common barrier that I see is people using technology as a distraction, right? So sometimes we dive into like all of the tech tasks and tools and stuff to avoid the harder work of connecting, of inviting, of being visible, right? And a lot of times it can make your brain feel like you're being more productive if you can spend hours syncing up your Google Calendar, or if you can spend hours creating a website that nobody's going to see, right? Like that's when people use tech as a distraction. And if I'm calling you out right now, there's a reason for it. I see this pattern so often of, I need a website. I need to create all these pretty graphics on Canva, and you haven't been connecting. The tech is not the issue, right? I think it can be very easy to use technology as the distraction, and you can spend hours diving into the technology and things like that without actually doing the work that is going to bring you money, bring you income, create clients, which is going out there, telling people about what you do, connecting with people, inviting people to conversations, inviting people to your work. And you can sit there and convince yourself that you have to have all of this tech set up in order to be able to do the connecting part effectively. And that's just not true, guys. It's not true. Another downfall that I see with a lot of new coaches is perfectionism and the desire to want to look professional, right? That I feel like there's this trap of like wanting everything to look perfect before you launch something. You want everything to look perfect before you actually tell people what you're doing or tell people that you're a coach. And this is the easiest way for you to waste a lot of time and slow down your results exponentially. You don't have to have everything set up perfectly. Like I said, you don't have to have a website. You don't have to have all of these different things in place. Really, in order to run a successful practice, you just need a way for people to pay you, a contract for them to sign, and a way to meet with them, whether that's virtually or in person, whatever, a way to meet with them and schedule your sessions. And that is it. I'll talk a little bit more about this, like the layers of this, in the next part of this podcast episode. So stay tuned. The last barrier that I see with coaches in implementing technology into their business is constantly comparing themselves to other coaches, right? Like it's really easy to look at a super established coach and feel behind. It's easy to see people out there, posting on social media twice a day or having these really long, intricate email sequences whenever you sign up for their freebie. But remember, everyone starts somewhere, right? I didn't have any of these automated things in place whenever I first started my business at all. I didn't have an email list. I didn't have an email marketing platform. I didn't have anything automated. I honestly just scheduled people through one little booking link and had a contract for them to sign and a place for them to be able to pay me. And that is it. But if you start to compare yourself to other coaches and want to be where they are, even though they're a lot more advanced than you inside of their practice, it's the perfect trap for you to start to want to give up and not even want to put effort in your business at all. Right? So if you can stay in your own lane, if you can put your blinders on and focus on where your business is at, the stage that your business is at right now, it will help you get to that stage that you want to be at. But you have to come into this radical acceptance of yourself that this is where you're at right now. And this is what I'm going to do next, is kind of break down the different stages, the different levels of technology that you want to focus on at each stage of your business. Okay, so there's 3 different stages of, I like to call it like 3 different stages of like tech mastery. Of how to embrace technology at each different phase of business building that you're in so that you're not getting overwhelmed. The first stage is like kind of the early stage coaches, right? This is like basic level tech. And this I'll talk a little bit about some characteristics of what kind of coach is actually in this stage, what kind of tech stack you want to use, and the focus of this stage. So early stage coaches are like you're in your first 1 to 2 years of business. Maybe you've just finished certification or you are in the middle of like that first year trying to get your feet under you, trying to practice your skills of coaching, and maybe you don't have a super defined niche yet. But coaches in this stage, haven't gotten their first like 10 to 15 paying clients yet. They're still working on the client creation part of it. They're working on mastering their skill of coaching. And this is where your energy is best spent, right? Mastering your coaching and selling skills, not on like the complex technology side of things. You really want to be inviting people to coaching calls. You want to be offering free sessions to people and practicing coaching as much as possible, evaluating your coaching skills, evaluating your selling skills, and just really like coaching your ass off. So I mentioned this earlier, but a simple breakdown of the tech stack that you need at this early stage, and everything else, I want you to give yourself permission to totally ignore. Totally ignore. You need a payment processor, a way for people to pay you, right? So Stripe, Square, PayPal, whatever. You need a way to simply deliver a contract to a client for them to sign. There are so many different ways that you could do this. You don't need a fancy platform to do this either. You could simply send them a PDF and have them print it out, sign it, take a picture of it, and send it back to you. You could use something like HelloSign or JotForm. JotForm is actually what I use. PandaDocs. Like there are so many different platforms where you can upload a contract, send it to someone to electronically sign, or you could do it the old school way of, emailing them a PDF, having them print it out, sign it, and send it back to you. So many different ways to do this. Payment processor, contract delivery. Third piece of tech here is some kind of like scheduling software. So I really like Calendly. Calendly, there's a free version of it where you can create like one appointment type and you can sync it with your Google Calendar. You can actually create appointments inside of Google Calendar. If you don't want to deal with the setup of like all the techie stuff, honestly, you can just like bounce dates and times back and forth with your potential clients or with your clients and schedule them manually, right? So you just want to have a process for scheduling people and getting people on the calendar. I would recommend doing this digitally, not in a paper planner. And the reason being is because there's so many risks if you use a paper planner to miss something. So payment processor, contract delivery, scheduling, and I would say communication like regular email, right? Google Workspace is really great for this, but having an email dedicated to your business where you can communicate with clients and such. That is the only thing. That's the only thing that you guys want to focus on in this early stage of building your business, right? Everything else, website, social media shit, all of that does not matter. It doesn't matter. If you're in this stage, if you're in the first like 1 to 2 years of your practice, you haven't signed your first 10 paying clients yet, you're still kind of refining your niche and you're not super confident in your coaching skills, this is where you want to focus. I want you to try to block everything else out. And that might be frustrating to hear. I know. I'm sorry. I'm not actually sorry, though. So block everything else out. This is where you focus. Second stage of growth in a coaching business is like kind of the intermediate level, like growing phase, right? So this is around like year 2 in your business, maybe 3, depending on how, what your pacing is. This is when you've signed at least 15 to 25 paying clients, right? You have coached around 20 people who have paid you for your services. This is around the time where you get like really clear on your niche and your messaging, and maybe you're kind of still teasing out some of that, but you feel a little bit more clear than you did whenever you first launched a business. And the focus in this stage is you're now looking to become more visible and automate some of those processes. So you're now looking to increase your presence and decrease the amount of time you're spending on repetitive manual tasks. So the tech stack you need in this stage, in the growing coaches phase, is everything that I mentioned in the first stage, right? So payment processor, contract delivery, software, email, or some kind of communication. And you want to be thinking about some kind of email marketing platform, right? Flowdesk, MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, ConvertKit, any of those will do. My personal recommendations are either Flowdesk or ActiveCampaign. But you want to start thinking about email marketing platform and automating some of those systems. And you want to start to also, if you don't have a system that automates your scheduling, your payment processing, your contract signing, things like that, you want to get that system down. You also might want to potentially think about a DIY like website or a landing page, not like a full-fledged website, but just something to send to people that kind of like serves as your online business card of like, this is who I am, this is who I coach, you know, here's a booking link. And that's really, really it. You don't have to get all fancy with it because, like I said, you're still trying to refine and get super, super clear on your niche and your messaging. And I don't think investing in a full-blown website at this stage is a smart move just because there are so many different ways that you could go, right? There's so many different paths that you could potentially take. And so kind of waiting until the next stage to invest in something like a full-on website design is going to be the smarter move here. So you want email marketing platform, maybe a DIY website or landing page. And then you want to create some kind of like freebie or a lead magnet to grow your email list. And this is something that doesn't have to be complicated, right? A simple PDF, a worksheet that you create on Google Docs. Most of my freebies that do so well are Google Doc worksheets. Maybe like a little ebook or guide. You could even like record a guided meditation that you wrote and send that as your freebie, right? But having some way to capture leads with like a little free offer that doesn't take a long time for you to create. So that's kind of like the tech stack that you want to be focusing on in this second stage of business building of as you're growing, as you're kind of entering into that intermediate level tech mastery phase. And then again, I'm going to repeat this over and over again. Try to block everything else out. You don't need a course. You don't need funnels. You don't need to start a podcast. Like you just don't need any of that shit. I want you to try to have like that tunnel vision of like, yes, all of these other things are going to come. If you want to create a podcast, go ahead and do it, but don't do it because you feel like you have to. Do it because you want to. Right? The only reason I started my podcast was because I thought it was fun and I wanted to get my message out there. And I didn't start my podcast as something that I used to sell anything. It was just a fun little project. And that's why I started it so early. But for the people who want to start a podcast and think that they have to do it now and put all this pressure on themselves to launch this podcast, that's not the place you want to come from. So, can we be okay with where your business is at right now? If you haven't signed your first 20 to 25 paying clients yet, stick with the basics, stick with those main things that I talked about in that first stage and let go of the rest. Just know that the rest will come as you grow, as you continue to build your business, but we can't skip steps here. The third stage is the stage that everybody wants to get to. And people want to skip the steps to get here. You know, you see people in this phase, the established coaches, like advanced level tech phase, and we immediately want to go to this spot. And that is the quickest way for you to want to quit your business, okay? Once you are an established coach, right? You've been in business for 3+ years. You have signed over 25 paying clients. You're super, super confident in your niche and your identity as a coach, who you are as a coach. And the focus in this stage is we really want to start creating sustainability and we want to start scaling, right? So automating even more stuff. Where can you automate and streamline and systematize? This is where you start to think about considering building a team, hiring, and outsourcing. So the tech stack in this stage, everything you need from basic and intermediate levels: contract, scheduling, email, payment, email marketing, website, freebie. Maybe you have multiple freebies at this point. I think I have like 7 or 8. And on top of all of that, you want to have something that can keep you organized. So, like a project management tool, a project management system, things like Basecamp, Asana, Trello. Basecamp is actually the one that I use, and I freaking love it. Um, Something to help you keep track of your tasks that you do. This is a good stage to invest in like personal branding and website design. Every website branding thing that I had done before, actually really this past year, was DIY, right? I DIY'd it all. But now, because I'm very super clear on my niche, I'm very super clear on my messaging and who I am as a coach, and confident in my skill in both serving my clients and selling, I felt that it was appropriate, right, to invest in like a full-on rebrand, a full-on website design. And this is where you can start to think about more like online courses, evergreen offers, things like that. Again, the goal here in this stage is to create sustainability off of the foundation that you built in the first 2 stages. If you don't have that foundation in the first 2 stages, this falls apart. So how can you automate as much as you can? I've hired a virtual assistant and an OBM, an online business manager, to kind of help me with the operations part of my business. And this is kind of what you want to be thinking about in this stage as you're growing, as you're scaling, as you're creating that sustainability and that foundation for yourself. You want to be able to outsource things that aren't in your zone of genius, right? So whether you need to hire a virtual assistant, a social media manager, maybe you need to hire someone to do all the tech stuff for you in the background. I would even also say outsourcing, not just in your business, but in your life too, right? If your time is better spent working creatively in your business than it is cleaning your house, hire a house cleaner, right? Hire someone to meal prep. This could also look like ordering groceries instead of going to the store. It could look like finding childcare that fits within the hours that you want to be working, so that you don't have to worry about kids. Where can you outsource as much as possible to increase the amount of time and energy that you spend making money in your business, right? Doing the money making actions that only you can do. So that's where you want to focus on this stage of growth. And I know a lot of people get hung up on this last stage, right? People want to jump to this last stage without setting that foundation first. And it's super uncomfortable for people because, we don't want to start at the bottom. We don't want to be new at something. We don't want to have to layer on these things. We just want to learn it all right now. And I totally get that. But like I said, you can't skip over this step. If you try to run your business like it's a multi-6-figure, $1 million business, but you haven't even signed like 5 paying clients yet, it is just a recipe for disappointment. It's a recipe for you continuing to not believe in yourself because you're not gathering the evidence that you're a good coach, right? The way that you gain confidence in yourself as a coach is to coach. So that's what you want to focus on in the first stage of growing your business. And then you can layer on the other things as you grow and as you become more confident in what you do. Okay. After hearing all 3 of these stages, I'd love to hear what stage you are in right now. Send me an email, throw it in my free Facebook community. I'd love to know what stage of business growth you are in right now. And answer this honestly. Like, honestly, where are you at in your business right now? I know some of you really want to be in this 3rd stage, but haven't laid the foundation in the 1st or 2nd stages yet. So honestly, ask yourself, what stage am I in right now? And how can I hone in on that stage and ignore the rest? And I'm saying all this out of love. I'm saying all this out of experience. I've helped hundreds of coaches at this point really get clear on where technology fits into their business. And so I see patterns. After serving this many people, I've seen patterns. So trust me on this, guys. The next thing that I wanted to talk about is when you want to DIY and when you want to outsource. Okay. So DIY just kind of means like figuring stuff out on your own, fumbling through, being okay with it being a little bit messy, versus outsourcing, hiring somebody else to do it, getting support so that you can free up your time and energy. DIY is really good for like the early stages, right? That first stage in the beginning, your resources might be tight. You might not be having a lot of income come in from your business. And so DIYing things allows you to kind of keep the costs low. Now, if you're going to DIY, I would recommend that you have some pretty strict boundaries on how much time you spend DIYing because you can easily go down a rabbit hole. If you're going to DIY like a website or something like that, I've seen people take weeks to build their DIY website and then nobody ends up looking at it. And then they've wasted all this time not connecting with people, not coaching, and then they give up. I like the idea of DIYing a lot of stuff at the very beginning of your business because doing it yourself really helps you understand your business deeply, right? So whenever you do get to a place in your business where you want to outsource and you want to hire somebody else to do it, you still kind of know what's going on in the background. So I recommend DIYing as much as you can at the very beginning. And just being open to the learning, being open to learning how things work so that whenever you get to the point in your business where you're focusing on growth and focusing on scaling, you can still kind of have some sense of knowledge and some sense of familiarity with what's going on in the operations part of your business. And then doing it yourself also gives you the freedom to pivot really easily as you're still defining your niche, as you're still getting clear on who you are and what your messaging is. I am so glad that I didn't invest in a full-on website design at the beginning of my business and that I just DIY'd it because now it feels so good to have invested those thousands of dollars in my new website, in my branding, in my new logo and everything like that. And that investment felt so justified because I am super clear on who I am. I'm not going to be changing what kind of coach I am for a while, right? And so it feels really good to know who you are and have that clarity before you invest that big amount in a big project like a website design. Like I said, I waited until my third year in business to invest in a professional website design because I wanted to be super clear on who I was, and it feels right. It doesn't feel like a huge risk. Now, whenever it comes to outsourcing, I think no matter what stage of business you're at, you want to be able to outsource repetitive tasks, repetitive issues that you find yourself getting stuck in. If you're finding yourself getting stuck on the same tech problems and whatnot, it might be time to kind of bring on an expert. Hiring someone from Fiverr for like a one-off task is really, really helpful. You might want to look at like if you're constantly struggling with social media, right? No matter how much time you spend learning, no matter how much time you spend DIYing it, if social media is just like one of those big blocks for you, it might be time to hire like a really, really part-time, like 3 to 4 hours a week VA that helps you with like social media stuff. If you have the budget and it's taking too much of your time, outsource, right? If you have the means, if you have the resources to be able to hire out for it, it's a really good investment to hire out because your time and your energy are the most important resources in your business. So if you can leverage as much time and energy of yours to do the tasks that only you can do, to do the connecting and the coaching and all of that and showing up live, like whatever that looks like, I would highly recommend you just do it. And then whenever you get to the more advanced stages, your time is better spent on higher level tasks like that anyways. So outsourcing is really good for scaling up. So let's talk about this. If you think about technology and you dread sitting at your computer, knowing that eventually by the end of the day, you're going to want to throw your computer out the window, right? I want to invite you to be open to the idea that using technology in your business could be fun. Okay? And maybe to some of you that sounds really weird. Maybe to some of you are like, yeah, I could get into that. But remember the excitement of like whenever you were a kid and you got a new toy and you wanted to know how it worked, right? That's the kind of excitement I want you to come to this with, to technology and using technology in your business. one of my favorite ways to get people really open to learning about how to incorporate different tech tools in their business is kind of looking at it like an outlet for creativity, right? Whether it's designing graphics or automating a new welcome sequence or whatever it is, how can we lean into what actually excites us with technology and start there? Like have that as your foundation and give yourself permission to explore without the pressure of being perfect, without the pressure of having everything put together so perfectly and wrapped in a beautiful little bow. Give yourself permission to experiment and play, right? Kind of like the example that I used earlier in the episode. I had no idea how to launch a podcast, how to start a podcast, but I was so interested in learning how to do it that honestly, I didn't care. Actually, I don't think I officially launched my podcast whenever I came out with it. I launched it, I think right after I graduated from my certification, my coaching certification. And I don't think I really told anyone that I had launched it. I maybe shared one post on social media and that was it. And I didn't launch it in a very strategic way. I just put it out there, but I wasn't really using it for a marketing tool. I felt like it was just something that I wanted to do. I was really passionate about. I knew that I had a message that I wanted to get out there. And it was a beautiful way for me to express myself and to be creative with it. And now it's one of my biggest tools for marketing, but it happened organically. I followed what was exciting to me. If creating a course is something that you actually get excited about and you don't feel pressure to create so that you can create more money, do it, right? Explore, play, have some fun with it. Give yourself permission to have fun. If social media is something you want to learn more about, don't do it because you want to be more visible so that you can get more sales and create more clients and whatnot. Like you have to look at where it's coming from. If social media is something that you really want to incorporate, how can we have fun with it? What are your favorite types of reels to consume? And how can you emulate that, right? What are some new different content formats that you could try that might stretch you creatively and be really fun to play with? So start shifting your mindset to, okay, if tech is something that's really overwhelming for you, what is one piece of technology that doesn't seem overwhelming that I could easily just learn and have a little bit of fun with? So that's a perspective shift that I want to invite for you there. I see this in my membership all the time, Tech Mastery for Coaches. I see people come in with these frustrations around social media, these frustrations around different tech platforms, and they finally find the one thing that actually gets them excited. And that excitement helps them look at technology a different way. It's not something that's overwhelming. It's not something that is a barrier for them. It's something that they can easily build off of. So we just need to find that starting point for you. I wanted to go over a couple of case studies. The first one is going to be an example of a coach who uses tech to hide. And then the next one is going to be an example of a coach that uses tech to grow. So I worked with a client who spent months perfecting her website and her social media and, focused on designing business cards and things like that, but avoided direct client outreach, connecting, offering people coaching calls, practicing her skills. And by the end of the time that we were working together, she had really minimal business growth and she started to get really frustrated. And then she had this kind of like aha moment at the end. No matter how many times I reflected this back to her, she had this aha moment at the end of like, I've been focusing on the wrong shit. I'm like, yeah, that's what I've been trying to tell you. So as soon as she did that, she started focusing on connecting with people, on really practicing her coaching. She ended up signing a couple of paying clients at the end. It was great, but she was using tech to feel productive while avoiding the, more difficult act of connecting and being vulnerable. So this is where tech can serve as a place to hide and run away from the hard things. Now, a coach who uses tech to grow, right? Another coach that I worked with, she was in my membership. She launched a program started with the simplest tools, right? And focused on like client interactions. So she didn't have any videos recorded. She didn't have a course set up or anything like that. She literally just had like a few worksheets, like PDF worksheets that she sent out to her clients every week and an email. And then over time, she gradually started to incorporate more tech to enhance the program, right? So she began to incorporate pre-recorded videos the next time. And then the time that she launched after that, she put all of those videos and all of those worksheets into a pretty little course. Um, and then she started automating some of her emails over time. And this is over time, right? This wasn't right out the gate. She started with just a bunch of worksheets and emailing them out. Right. And so now she's had several successful launches of this program and she's growing this amazing client base. And she's a six-figure coach, all because she aligned all of those tech upgrades with the stage of business growth that she was at. And she avoided overwhelm by staying in her lane and accepting where she was at right now, right? She built that solid foundation, really practiced on her selling skills, on her coaching skills, and then added in elements on top as she grew and as she collected more data from the program. Okay, so to wrap things up a little bit, I want to give you some practical tips to walk away with to overcome this resistance to technology. The first is to really acknowledge your feelings about using technology in your business, right? It's okay to feel intimidated. Recognize that without judgment, especially if this is the first business that you've ever launched. They don't really teach us this. For me, a lot of my clients are in the nursing world. They don't teach us this in nursing school. They don't teach us how to run a business. And then even in certification, like you don't really get a lot of that knowledge of how to set up your business and build it. You know the foundational skills of coaching, but that's it, right? All of this other stuff, all the techie stuff, all the back end operational business stuff, you kind of have to learn on your own. So it's okay to feel a little bit intimidated, a little bit scared, worried that you're not going to get it right. Acknowledge those feelings and then also know that you can start small, right? Choose one tech tool to learn at a time, right? Take tiny little baby steps. What is one thing that I can layer on into my business? The next thing I want to invite you to do is to set aside some dedicated time, right? So schedule yourself tech time to explore without any distractions. And especially if you are someone who is really easily overwhelmed by technology, set a timer for yourself, right? Don't get sucked into that time warp there. I mean, because you could easily spend hours learning Canva or figuring out how to make a reel. Like that time can go so quickly, and then you can very easily get frustrated by how much time it actually takes. So set timers for yourself. I really, really encourage you to do this at the very beginning. Utilize as many resources as possible, right? So YouTube is your best friend whenever it comes to looking for tutorials about things. Ask for help in different communities, in different Facebook communities. I have a Facebook community where people ask tech questions all the time. If you're not already in that link will be on the show notes for you. This is also why I love the Tech Mastery for Coaches membership, my membership that I have where I support coaches in getting more confident with technology. So utilize as many resources as possible. And then also, I want you guys to be able to celebrate your wins, right? Like each new skill that you learn is a step forward in you actually embracing being a CEO, being a person who runs a company, not just like someone with a side gig, right? So acknowledge the progress that you've made, celebrate those wins. In my membership, I always have people tell me like, I've learned something new today and here's what it is. And we celebrate the fuck out of them because it's so exciting whenever you start to feel like you're gathering this evidence, like, hey, I can do this. I can run a business successfully. The more credit you can give yourself, the better. And the better it is for your long-term sustainability too, because you want to be able to start looking at those strengths rather than constantly focusing on how you're falling short and how you're not good enough, right? Your mindset around technology really matters. Like it's not just about a knowledge deficit. It's also about a belief, like an internal belief. Instead of saying, I'm not tech savvy, a more supportive way to look at it is I'm learning to navigate technology inside of my business. Just remember that every expert, every person who is out there who looks like a coach who has it all together, they were once a beginner too. So allow yourself to grow. Allow yourself to embrace that stage of growth that you're currently in, knowing that you have an end goal, knowing that you have a place where you want to get to, but not discrediting where you are now and the foundational things that need to happen for that future to be a reality. And then the last thing I would say here is to choose to incorporate technology that aligns with your values. If social media isn't something that you want to leverage to grow your business, don't be on it, right? Choose tools and choose platforms that feel authentic and supportive for your business model. So if social media is not something you want to leverage, don't spend time there. Now, if it is something that you want to leverage and you're just afraid of showing up, that's a totally different story. But if it doesn't align with your values, don't put that pressure on yourself to jump on the train just because you see everybody else doing it. Okay, so I know this was a very practical, logistic-heavy, information-heavy episode, not typical of what I usually put out there. But the reason I wanted to put this out there is because I know that so many of you in this community struggle with technology. It's something that keeps you up at night. It's something that you're constantly worrying about. And I wanted to give you some peace of mind, knowing that you are exactly where you're supposed to be right now, right? The way that your business is right now is exactly where it needs to be for there to be growth. If you haven't already joined my 5-day live series that I'm currently doing, I'm on day 2 right now. It's called Soulful Systems for Sustainable Growth. And it basically just walks you through all of the different categories of systems that you want to have in your business for sustainable growth, to set that foundation for yourself for success moving forward as you grow and scale. There's a worksheet that goes along with each day of the live. There's also a giveaway that I'm doing with a bunch of awesome prizes. So I encourage you to sign up. That link is going to be in the show notes. And then at the end of this series, at the very end of this week, I'm going to be doing a nice little flash sale on my membership, Tech Mastery for Coaches. Typically, the sign-up fee is $457 to join, but it's going to be severely discounted for a couple of weeks after this live series is done. So make sure not to miss that. If you haven't already joined the Visibility and Tech Support for Coaches community, I would love to see you there. It's my free Facebook group where a bunch of us heart-centered coaches just get together, support each other in all things getting visible and technology and all of this random business stuff that none of us know anything about whenever we start our businesses, but are slowly starting to learn. It's a really great place for people to support each other and to be connected with other heart-centered coaches. So again, check out the show notes for all of that, for the link to the live series, to join my Facebook group. I would love to see you there. Just remember, tech does not have to be a barrier. It can be a really beautiful tool that enhances your business and really allows you to serve more people and to be more visible to the people that need your help, right? You don't have to do it all at once. You can take things step by step, one step at a time, and don't hesitate to reach out for support. I love getting emails from you guys. I love seeing you post inside of the Facebook group. So I am here. I'm here to support you in whatever way I can. Thank you for spending this time with me today. I'm excited to see how you start embracing technology in your own unique way in your businesses. And until next time, I invite you to just keep shining and being the lighthouse for those that you are meant to serve. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this was helpful for you, subscribe to the show to make sure you're always in the loop when a new episode is out. And I would love to invite you to join me in the free Visibility and Tech Support for Coaches community, where we hang out and chat about all things visibility, tech, systems, and heart-centered business building. I regularly share tips and tutorials and go live every now and then, and it's just nice to be in a community with other like-minded coaches and healers. So you can join this free space at alignwellco.com/community, and I can't wait to see you there.